You know that moment when your entire world collapses in the span of about 30 seconds? When everything you've worked for, everything you've built, everything you've sacrificed just evaporates into thin air? When the ground beneath your feet disappears and you're left falling into a void with no idea how to catch yourself? That was me at 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, standing in my boss's office, holding a cardboard box that was supposed to hold my personal belongings but instead felt like it was holding the shattered remains of my career. My name's Patricia. I'm 41. A senior accountant at Whitmore Financial, a mid-sized firm in downtown Boston. I've been with the company for 13 years. 13 years of grinding, hustling, burning the midnight oil, and playing the corporate game. 13 years of proving myself over and over again, of being the first one in and the last one out, of taking on projects nobody else wanted and making them shine. I'd climbed the ladder one rung at a time, never stepping on anyone to get ahead, always doing the right thing, always playing by the rules. And it had all been for nothing. The man standing across from me was Gerald Whitmore III, the CEO, the grandson of the founder, the man who'd inherited the company and run it into the ground with his incompetence, his ego, and his complete lack of moral compass. He was 45, rich, entitled, and had never worked a real day in his life. He'd gotten everything handed to him on a silver platter, and he'd never had to earn a single thing. He was the kind of man who'd never been told no, who'd never faced consequences, who'd never had to struggle. "Patricia," he said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "I'm sorry it had to come to this. I know this isn't easy, but you understand. We have to think about the company's reputation. The allegations against you are serious. They're troubling. We can't afford to have someone like you on our team. We can't afford the liability." "Allegations?" I repeated, my voice shaking with barely controlled rage. "What allegations? I haven't done anything wrong. I've been here for 13 years. My record is spotless. I've never even had a written warning. Multiple employees have come forward with complaints about your behavior, hostile work environment, harassment, inappropriate conduct. It's a pattern, Patricia. A disturbing pattern. We have to take it seriously." "That's a lie. I've never harassed anyone. I've never created a hostile work environment. I've been here for 13 years, and my record is spotless. I've mentored dozens of junior employees. I've been praised by clients. I've brought in millions of dollars in business. You can't just fire me based on lies. Be that as it may, the complaints have been made, and we have to take them seriously. We have to protect our employees. You're a liability. We can't have you here anymore. It's too risky." I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw it, the smugness, the satisfaction, the gleam in his eye that told me he was enjoying this. He wasn't just firing me, he was getting rid of a problem he'd created, a problem that had been manufactured to protect someone else. Because I knew who was behind the complaints. I knew exactly who'd been spreading lies about me, who'd been manipulating the system, who'd been playing the victim to destroy my career. His name was Bradley Whitman, no relation to the Whitmores, despite the similar last name. He was 43, a senior vice president, and the biggest bully I'd ever met. He'd been hired 2 years ago, and from day one, he'd made my life a living hell. He'd targeted me from the moment he walked through the door. He'd stolen my ideas and presented them as his own. He'd taken credit for my work and blamed me for his failures. He'd spread rumors about me, sabotaged my projects, and made sure I was excluded from important meetings. He'd undermined me at every turn, and he'd done it with a smile on his face. And now, he'd finally succeeded in getting me fired. Bradley Whitman was the kind of guy who'd smile in your face and stab you in the back the second you turned around. He was charming, charismatic, and completely devoid of empathy. He'd do whatever it took to get ahead, and he didn't care who he destroyed in the process. He was a predator, a manipulator, A man who'd built his career on the ruins of others. The worst part was that everyone knew what he was. Everyone had seen the way he treated people, the way he manipulated situations, the way he played the corporate game. Everyone had witnessed his cruelty, his lies, his complete lack of integrity, but nobody did anything about it. Because Bradley had friends in high places, he'd made sure to align himself with the right people, to cultivate the right relationships, to become indispensable to the powers that be. He'd made himself untouchable. And me? I was just a senior accountant, a woman in her 40s who'd spent her whole career playing by the rules. I wasn't connected. I wasn't powerful. I wasn't indispensable. I was just another cog in the machine. So when Bradley started targeting me, I had no defense. It started small. A comment here, a slight there. He'd dismiss my ideas in meetings, make snide remarks about my work, and always do it with a smile on his face. When I confronted him, he'd play the victim. He'd claim he was just trying to help, that I was being too sensitive, that I was the one with the problem. He'd gaslight me, making me question my own perception of reality. Then it escalated. He started taking credit for my work. He'd present my ideas as his own, my research as his findings, my successes as his achievements. He'd stand up in meetings and claim credit for things he'd had nothing to do with. And when I tried to call him out, he'd turn it around on me. He'd claim I was jealous, that I was threatened by his success, that I was trying to undermine him. And the worst part, people believed him. Because Bradley was good at what he did. He was a master manipulator, a skilled liar, and he knew exactly how to play the game. He knew how to make himself look good and make others look bad. He knew how to control the narrative. So when he started telling people that I was creating a hostile work environment, that I was harassing him, that I was making inappropriate comments, people believed him, because why wouldn't they? He was the victim. He was the one being targeted. He was the one who needed protection. It was a complete and total fabrication. But it didn't matter. Perception is reality in the corporate world. And Bradley had created a perception that was destroying my life. But here's the thing about Bradley. He was arrogant. So arrogant that he never thought anyone would push back. So arrogant that he never thought anyone would gather evidence against him. So arrogant that he believed he was invincible. And that's where he made his mistake. Because I'd been saving everything. Every email, every voicemail, every message, every single piece of evidence that proved what Bradley had been doing. Every bit of proof of his lies, his manipulations, his cruelty. I'd started doing it about a year ago, when I first realized what he was up to. I'd been naive before, trusting that the system would protect me, that people would see the truth, that justice would prevail. But I'd learned the hard way. The system didn't protect anyone. People didn't see the truth, and justice only prevailed if you had the evidence to back it up. So I started saving every snide comment he made in an email, every time he took credit for my work, every time he sabotaged one of my projects, every time he spread a rumor about me, every time he manipulated a situation, every time he lied. I saved it all. And now, standing in Gerald Whitmore's office with my cardboard box, I realized that I had everything I needed to destroy Bradley's career. I had enough evidence to sink him a dozen times over. "Patricia, are you even listening?" Gerald was saying, his voice impatient. "I'm trying to give you a severance package. A very generous one, considering the circumstances. We're offering you 6 months of salary and full benefits. It's more than you deserve." I looked at him. This man who'd been so quick to believe Bradley's lies. This man who'd been so eager to get rid of me. This man who'd never once asked for my side of the story. This man who'd never given me a chance to defend myself. "No, thank you," I said, my voice steady and cold. "I don't want your severance package. I don't want anything from you. I don't want your money." "Excuse me? What are you talking about?" I said, "No, thank you. I'll be leaving now. But before I go, I want you to know something. Something that's going to make you regret everything. Something that's going to haunt you. I pulled out a flash drive from my pocket. The flash drive that contained every single piece of evidence I'd collected over the past year. The flash drive that held the truth about Bradley Whitman. On this flash drive, I said, is proof of everything Bradley Whitman has done. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every instance of workplace harassment. Every time he stole credit for someone else's work. Every time he sabotaged a coworker. Every time he lied to you. It's all here. Every single piece of it. Gerald's face went pale. What are you talking about? What are you saying? I'm talking about the fact that you just fired an innocent woman because you believed the lies of a bully. I'm talking about the fact that you're about to have a massive scandal on your hands. I'm talking about the fact that I'm not going to let this go. I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth. Everyone. The board, the media, the authorities. Everyone. Patricia, let's talk about this. Let's be reasonable. Let's find a solution. I'm done being reasonable, I said. I'm done being the victim. I'm done playing by the rules while people like Bradley break them. I'm done. I'm done being silent. I'm done being invisible. I'm done being used. I turned and walked out of his office, leaving Gerald Whitmore staring after me with a look of pure terror on his face. The next few weeks were a blur. I hired a lawyer. I filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I went to the press. I told my story to anyone who would listen. I refused to be silenced. And then I released the evidence. I posted it online. Every email, every voicemail, every message, all of it. I made sure that everyone could see exactly what Bradley Whitman had done. I made sure the world knew the truth. The reaction was swift and brutal. Within hours, the story had gone viral. News outlets were covering it. Social media was exploding. People were outraged. The public demanded answers. Bradley tried to spin it. He claimed the evidence was fabricated, that I'd manipulated it, that I was a bitter woman seeking revenge. He tried to discredit me, to make me look like the villain. But it was too late. The evidence was too damning, too thorough, too undeniable. His reputation was destroyed. He was fired from Whitmore Financial. His career was over. His name was mud. He'd never work in the industry again. But I didn't stop there. I went after the company too. I sued them for wrongful termination, hostile work environment, and failure to protect an employee from harassment. I didn't just want Bradley to pay. I wanted the entire company to pay for enabling his behavior for so long. I wanted to make sure that no one else would ever have to go through what I went through. The case went to court. It was a long, grueling process. There were hearings, depositions, and endless paperwork. But in the end, I won. The jury awarded me a massive settlement, and the company was forced to implement sweeping changes to their harassment policies. They had to create new training programs, new reporting systems, new protections for employees. Bradley was ruined. He lost his job, his reputation, his family, everything. He became a cautionary tale, a symbol of what happens when bullies go unchecked. He was exposed for who he really was, and I became a hero. It's been 3 years since that day. 3 years since I stood in Gerald Whitmore's office with my cardboard box and my flash drive. 3 years since I took down a bully and changed my life forever. 3 years since I refused to be a victim. I don't work at Whitmore Financial anymore. I didn't want to. The place had too many bad memories, too many ghosts. Instead, I started my own consulting firm. I help companies create better workplace cultures. I speak at conferences about harassment, about accountability, about the importance of standing up for yourself. I've become a voice for the voiceless. It's been a long road. There were times when I wanted to give up, when the weight of everything felt too heavy to carry. There were nights when I cried myself to sleep, wondering if it was all worth it. There were moments when I doubted myself, when I questioned whether I'd done the right thing. But I didn't give up, because I knew that what I was doing mattered. Not just for me, but for everyone who'd ever been bullied, harassed, or silenced. I knew that my story could help others find their voice. And I was right. The impact of my story has been immense. Countless people have reached out to me, telling me that my story gave them the courage to speak up, to fight back, to refuse to be victims anymore. They tell me that I inspired them to stand up for themselves. It's the best feeling in the world. Knowing that you've made a difference, knowing that you've helped people, knowing that your pain and your struggle wasn't for nothing, knowing that you've changed lives. About a year after everything went down, I got a call from Gerald Whitmore. He was calling to apologize. He sounded broken, humbled like a man who'd finally realized the error of his ways. "I was wrong, Patricia," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "I should have listened to you. I should have believed you. I should have done something about Bradley. I let you down, and I'm so sorry. I failed you as a leader." I didn't say anything for a long moment. I was still angry with him, still hurt by what he'd done, but I'd also moved on. I'd found my own success. I'd built my own life. I didn't need his apology to be okay. I didn't need his validation. "Thank you," I finally said. "That means a lot. I know it doesn't change anything. I know I can't undo what happened. But I want you to know that I've learned from it. The company has changed. We have new policies now. Better training. A real commitment to addressing harassment. It's not perfect, but it's a start. We're trying to do better." "That's good," I said. "That's really good. I'm glad to hear it. I also want you to know that if you ever want to come back, there's a place for you here. A leadership position. Whatever you want, you deserve it." I almost laughed. "I appreciate that, Gerald, but I don't think that's going to happen. I've moved on. I've built something new. Something that's mine. Something I'm proud of. I understand. I just wanted you to know. I wanted to make the offer." We talked for a little while longer. It was strange, talking to him after everything that had happened. But it was also cathartic. A chance to close the book on that chapter of my life. A chance to find closure. And when I hung up the phone, I felt lighter, freer, like a weight I hadn't even realized I was carrying had finally been lifted. Today, my consulting firm is thriving. I've helped dozens of companies create better, safer workplaces. I've spoken to thousands of people about the importance of standing up to bullying and harassment. I've become a voice for the voiceless, a champion for the underdog, a symbol of hope. And I'm proud of that. So incredibly proud. Because I know what it's like to be silenced. I know what it's like to be victimized. I know what it's like to feel like the system is against you. I know what it's like to be powerless. But I also know what it's like to fight back. To refuse to be a victim. To refuse to let anyone else write your story. To refuse to be silenced. And that's the message I share with everyone I meet. Don't let anyone silence you. Don't let anyone bully you. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Don't let anyone make you feel powerless. Stand up, speak out, fight back, demand justice. Because you are stronger than you know, braver than you feel, and capable of more than you can imagine. So what's the lesson here? What's the takeaway from all of this? I think it's this: bullies only win when we let them. When we stay silent, when we don't speak up, when we don't fight back. When we let them control the narrative, when we let them make us feel powerless. But when we do speak up, when we do fight back, when we refuse to be victims, when we gather evidence, when we expose the truth, that's when they lose. That's when they crumble. That's when they realize that their power was never real, that their control was always an illusion, that they were never as powerful as they thought they were. Because the truth is, bullies are cowards. They prey on people they think are weak. They target people they think won't fight back. They rely on silence and fear to maintain their power. They depend on their victims staying quiet. But when we refuse to be silent, when we refuse to be afraid, when we refuse to be victims, they have nothing. So if you're out there reading this and you're dealing with a bully, whether it's at work, at school, or anywhere else, remember this: you have more power than you think. You have more strength than you feel. And you are capable of more than you can imagine. Don't let anyone tell you different. Don't let anyone make you feel small. And don't ever, ever give up. Because the people who try to break you are the people who are most afraid of what you can become. If you're reading this and you're in a situation like the one I was in, I want you to know something. I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that it's not your fault. And I want you to know that you have the strength to fight back. It's scary. I know it's scary. The thought of speaking up, of rocking the boat, of putting yourself out there. It's terrifying. The thought of facing your bully, of confronting the system, of risking everything. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do. But I promise you, it's better than staying silent. It's better than letting the bullies win. It's better than being a victim for the rest of your life. It's better than living in fear. You deserve better. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to work in an environment where you feel safe and valued. You deserve to live without fear. And if you're not sure if you have the strength to fight back, remember this: you have survived everything life has thrown at you so far. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every setback, every betrayal, every loss. You're still here, still standing, still fighting, still breathing. And that means you are stronger than you know, braver than you feel, and capable of more than you can imagine. So take that step, make that decision, choose yourself, because you are worth it. You have always been worth it, and you always will be. Looking back on everything that happened, I don't regret any of it. Not the pain, not the heartbreak, not the betrayal, not the years of my life that I spent being a victim, because all of it led me here. All of it made me who I am today. A woman who knows her worth. A woman who refuses to be silenced. A woman who understands that the only way to defeat a bully is to refuse to be a victim. A woman who fights for justice. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would. Exactly the same way. Because sometimes the only way to find your way out of the darkness is to walk through it. Sometimes the only way to find your voice is to be silenced first. Sometimes the only way to find your power is to be powerless first. So thank you, Bradley Whitman. Thank you for showing me who you really were. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to fight back. Thank you for making me stronger. Thank you for making me who I am. And thank you, Gerald Whitmore. Thank you for teaching me that the system doesn't always work. Thank you for showing me that I had to fight for myself. Thank you for making me realize that I was capable of more than I ever imagined. I'm grateful for all of it, the good and the bad, the joy and the pain, because it all led me here, to this moment, to this life, to this purpose. And that's the greatest gift of all. Loved this story? Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a video. I upload brand new stories every single day. Gripping, emotional, and packed with twists that'll keep you guessing until the very end. Don't forget to like this video if it gave you all the feels. Comment below, have you ever dealt with a workplace bully? How did you handle it? I read every single comment. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best lessons come from other people's experiences. Got a story idea? Drop it in the comments. Your suggestion might just become the next video on this channel. Subscribe now and join our growing family of story lovers. New videos drop daily at 7 a.m. EST. Perfect to watch with your morning coffee? Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never let anyone silence you. Because your voice matters, your story matters, and you matter.